What is good, everyone? Welcome into the Views from the 573 podcast. Hope you guys are doing well as we are doing NFL predictions. We just wrapped up our divisional previews with the AFC East, and now we are taking a look at the full picture of the NFL season. So to do that with me, as always, as we've done for several years now, I'm joined by Matt Mormann in doing this. Matt, how you doing? I know you're excited about the NFL coming back here in a few. Actually, by the time this podcast comes out, probably in a couple days.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math. I think this is probably our seventh time. Probably since 2018 season is probably the first time we've
Yeah,
been like this. So yeah, we've
yeah.
done quite a few of them now. Very excited about it. I'm not gonna lie, Ryan. I feel a little chalky this year. Um, Even a couple of the ones who I have like winning some divisions who maybe aren't repeat winners. It's like they feel like they should be like there though. Like I don't know. I feel a little chalky, but I do have one team that is maybe a bit of a surprise to not just win their division, but to win their championship game. And Ryan, maybe even to win that Super Bowl.
Oh boy, that's a tease right there. Oh
Oh
boy.
yeah.
You know, I'm not even going to ask which conference they're in.
No. I mean, you can pretty well assume it because, quite frankly, one of them is way too top heavy for a surprise to happen. But
Yeah, I can't wait now. Holy, you just toss that thing up and it's like, oh boy, I'm ready to find out what that is. Yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit pre-show and just how these divisions look, and I'm on board with you on that. It just feels like when we did our AFC North preview, we were both on the same page as far as the Ravens being that team that would probably win this division. During the AFC East pod that I did, I kind of was like the same way with the Bills. You know, it feels like the Bills, who've won this division for 5 years, are probably going to make it six. Um, it's just going to matter what they do in January. So I mean, but it honestly feels like there's a lot of these divisions. You take a look at them, like I can probably pick a couple where it's just like 50-50 coin flip on who could win this division, win their divisions. But other than that, I mean, I'm taking a look at, again, the AFC North, the AFC East. That's two of the AFC divisions already knocked out right there. And I assume the West is probably going to be another one then with Kansas City. But
yeah,
um,
I think the one thing, Ryan, that came out the day that we're recording this that could make the Kansas City one a bit interesting as far as winning the division goes is it's official. Rashee Rice, 6-game suspension. We now know this, right? So he's going to miss their games against the Chargers, Eagles, Giants, Ravens, Jags, and Lions.
ooh,
So now you could look at 2-4 start for Kansas City, which would be kind of crazy. And does that hurt them enough to really don't win the division? We'll get into that a little bit later when we do go through each individual division winner. But obviously, Rashee Rice, that's huge.
yeah, no, knowing that you're not going to have them for 6 games, and out of those games, like a lot of those games are against those really big time teams that you have there. I mean, you mentioned the Eagles, Lions. I mean, the Jags is probably the only other one that you can probably throw out there. But I mean, other than that, that's a really tough slate to go through. And I mean, if you're the Chiefs, Rebecca and I talked about it, you're already having some. We talked about Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown, how they've been to all this. How much is Travis going to have in the tank this year, and the offensive line losing the pieces they did. So I mean, now that you know that he's going to be out 6 games, I mean, you knew you were going to lose them for a few games out of the way if you're Kansas City, but it's just I think you didn't know what amount it was, whether it was going to be 3 or 4 or whatever. So yeah, that's a big time news coming down the pipeline. So, um, I say let's get into it.
Do it.
Let's get into our divisions. Let's just talk about let's do the AFC North since we've already kind of got that figured out. We're both going with the Ravens here.
Yep. Ryan, if I can make a request, let's do AFC and then NFC. I hated you laid out the spreadsheet. You went north, northeast, east, south, southwest. I kept
Yeah.
flipping back and forth in my brain. It was awful. So I can make it one request. Let's do one conference at a time here. AFC North, yeah, I've got the Ravens. I mean, I know Homer Matt over here, but you signed Kyle Hamilton to an extension. They are one of the best teams year in and year out. I think they are I think they're the 2 seed.
Yeah, I got the Ravens too. It feels very much like they are again going to be that cream of the crop of the AFC. It's just a matter of if they as well can get over the hump. What does this offense do after the magnificent year they had last year? What does Lamar do for an encore this upcoming season after the year that he had? It's just I think yeah, they are very much this they are going to be very much a top three team in this conference. It's just going to be which seed are they going to be, because you got Buffalo in there, Kansas City. We'll see how they do. It's very much seeming like it's going to line up for them to be that top three team in the AFC. Man, I will say this again, touching base on this again, with the Bills, like this is a big year for them too because they got a lot to prove and trying to make it through January and get to the Super Bowl and try to get back to winning the Super Bowl, don't they?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Were you going with the Ravens or Bills there?
Ravens.
Yeah. For sure. Like it's very much on them. I will say, and we talked about this a bit in the divisional preview. One of my big knocks on the Ravens, especially in offense, I feel like they're very top heavy. I feel like they're just like in injury or two away from key players to this thing really falling off the rails quickly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see like an Anthony Richardson trade or bring back Tyler Huntley, something like that. But or one of these running backs who gets cut, in the last couple of days, maybe the Ravens can bring in one of those guys. But besides that, I mean, we're talking in the division preview too. What's really tough is I feel like the Ravens have done everything they can possibly do as far as like setting the team up for success, right?
Yeah.
There's not really much else I feel like they can do or should do other than just go win in January. That's really one thing. And the Bills are in the exact same boat.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think that and also, I mean, the Anthony Richardson throw in. I'm thinking back to that draft pod, a couple years ago when he was coming out. I was like, well, I wonder if Matt sold any of his Anthony Richardson stock. It seems like not.
Well, I've still got him on two dynasty rosters. And I just refuse to like sell him for nothing. So no, Ryan, I still have that stock. I will hold that stock. And like, and not to go too much on Anthony Richardson here, Baker Mayfield has given me hope for these kind of guys, right? Like now I'm gonna be stuck in this pool for the next 2 years and be like, well, just wait. He's gonna go sit behind a Shanahan or a McVay disciple for a year, and then he's gonna get an offense that actually lets him like do what he wants to do. It's gonna be amazing. Um, so yeah, I blame Baker for that a little bit too.
It's nice to see you holding on to Anthony Richardson stock as much as I was holding on to Scott Frost stock for years. It's nice to see. I pass it on to you, but it's with the NFL quarterback, and it's with Anthony Richardson. So, we mentioned the Bills here a little bit. Going to the AFC East. I mean, I think the AFC North. We kind of basically went through Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns, kind of like the order we kind of think it's going to line up in. But the AFC East again. As the day we're taping this, I taped the AFC East pod this morning, so I'm coming fresh off this division. The Bills again, they are in that similar spot to the Ravens as to where they are in a spot where they need to go and prove it in January. We kind of touched on that in the preview, but they they need some growth from some of those young players like a Keon Coleman or a Kincaid or Cole Bishop in the defense and those rookies that they drafted. They drafted 4 rookies with their first 4 picks on defense. So it feels like this is the year that they need to go and be able to do what they need to do in January and be able to topple the Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals, whoever to get to that ultimate goal here. This is a big year for him, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure. And as a Ravens fan, I find it a little hilarious when I see Bills fans, especially talking about like all of Lamar Jackson's playoff failures. Like, congratulations, Bills. You've just made it one step further and also keep on losing to Patrick Mahomes. Like, you don't have any real playoff success either. So, like, Ravens and Bills to me are in the exact same boat here, where it's like really, really great teams. They'll win their division. Bills, they're my pick for the 1 seed this year because they have an even easier division. I think New England will be improved, but it might be like a 7-win team. I think the Jets are a wild card, not in terms of a wild card playoff team, but a wild card in that like they could be awful, and Justin Fields is once again benched and once again proves that he's not a starting NFL quarterback, or he can be pretty good. I think the Dolphins are kind of in that same boat, but even that pretty good range is like 8 wins, nine wins, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
Both those two could be complete dumpster fires, though. And quite frankly, odds are one of them will be, between
Yeah.
the Dolphins and the Jets. One of them is going to completely be like a 4-win team. So, no, I got the Bills as my 1 seed here, dominating the division, and I don't really have too many questions about that.
Yeah, I kind of roll through that. It feels like the Patriots could be that team that we look at in November and December where they're just like, oh wow, that they're actually playing some pretty good football right now. Drake May is looking really good and taking that second year leap. You
Very
know,
Carolina Panthers of a year ago.
where like the lights are starting to come on for a lot of those guys, for a lot of those young players. So listen, I do have my questions about the Dolphins. It's just the infrastructure there. Ashan is going to miss the first few games, so that
No, he's
run
not.
game is he's not.
No, no, he's not, Ryan. No, he's not. He will play. He will be fine. He'll be outstanding. He's going to be amazing because they're going to trail a bunch of games. He's going to catch 8 passes per game, Ryan. He will be fine. I've drafted him like 6 times this fall. He is going to be fine, Ryan. We're not worried. We're not scared. He's going to be fine. All right. Please be fine.
It's like that. There's nothing to see here. No, of Jiff. It's like there's nothing to see
Yeah.
here.
Nothing to see here, folks.
um,
He's fine.
Yeah, well, I think you are right that one of those will be a dumpster fire. It's just a matter of who will it be. The Jets, I could see being not a wild card team, but be a team where it's like, okay, you can start to see the vision for Aaron Glenn and what he has envisioned for this Jets team, particularly on the defense side of the ball. Like I think they want to get back to that 2023 defense that they had, which is really good, and they still got some of those guys there. So I think he can do it. What he did with the Lions last year, with how many guys that dropped down for him, he got on the injury list. He did a great job with that defense and what he was able to muster together. But yeah, it feels like it Bills. This is going to be their 6th division title in a row, which it is a very much nice needed change after what we went through with the Patriots winning it for years. So now it's the Bills' reign, and
Are they the safest divisional winner pick?
I think so. I think taking a look at it, I think it's the safest divisional winner because you got the Patriots there. They're still young and still trying to work through their roster. Jets, same thing. Dolphins, I mean, they could be a wild card team, but they could also be a team that ends up having 5 or 6 wins. So it very much feels like out of all these divisions, they're the safest and clearest bet to make, to win this division, to win their division, I think.
I agree.
All right. AFC South here. And I'm really excited about this one because this is one of those divisions that I don't really know who is going to win this division. I have a feeling who is going to finish last in this division, but
Do
I
you?
I have a feeling who's going to finish last, but I think it's going to be. It's like one of those things you overlook the wins and losses and you look for the internal improvement, and that's of course with my Titans. I think
Okay.
I think they are going to be that 5 or 6 win team, but I think there will be a clear direction as to where they're going into 2026. where you're building off Cam Ward's second year. You see clear improvement from the offensive line. Defense definitely desperately needs some edge rush help. But I think there's enough, that you see from these young guys that they've accumulated over the last couple years where it's like, okay, we have a clear idea of where we're heading, what the offense is going to look like, what the defense is going to look like. So it's going to be 6 wins, but I think it's going to be the most exciting 6-win season I'll ever have as a Titans fan. So that's kind of where I'm landing on them.
Well, I went back and forth on this one. I landed on the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this division. Liam
Okay.
Cohen coming in as head coach. I think that he is going to bring a spark to this offense and finally make Trevor Lawrence be something more. Not Peyton Manning, not what he was supposed to be, but have that really good season that we look at and go, okay, now I see that guy, right? You've got Brian Thomas Jr., who I think is an absolute superstar wide receiver. You've got Travis
Yes.
Hunter, who is going to be able to help on both sides of the football. And I think at wide receiver, he's going to be a really complimentary two. And I think at corner, he will help patch holes. Also, that defense, you do have a Josh Hines Allen, so you have a game wrecking pass rusher. They got to figure out the run game a little bit, but I kind of trust Liam Cohen with what he showed in Tampa to kind of be able to get away with it and scheme the guys up a little bit. So it's also not a high bar division. It's not any other division in the AFC,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't love the Texans. I don't like the Titans at all, Ryan. And the Colts, they're starting Daniel Jones. And quite frankly, as Anthony Richardson lover boy, I cannot blame them for starting Daniel Jones over Anthony Richardson. So it's not like it's the hardest competition here in this division. It would not surprise me
Yeah.
to see the division winner be the only team that comes out of this division. So I've got the Jags.
Yeah. I think if you're talking about the AFC East having the safest bet as far as like who's going to win the division, the AFC South is the safest bet on which division is only going to have one team be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I am going to go with the Texans here.
Okay.
So I don't feel great about it, but I was between the Texans and the Jags on this one because, like you said, I think Liam Cohen can do a lot of what he can do over, with Tampa and bring that over to Jacksonville. But I think it's kind of like the same thing I have with Ben Johnson is like, first year head coach, just like how much can he take on his plate? Is that going to kind of limit to how his play calling where he's not fully 100% being the play caller he was in Tampa? And I think that's going to be my question with that. But I'm going with the Texans here. I think, they can have a little bit of a bounce back. That the offensive line is going to be the issue. That they got to figure that out. Now, if they can get just like 5, 6, 7 less sacks than they had last year, that's an improvement in of itself. Nico Collins is a great ascending receiver too.
Yep.
Then you also, I believe, Christian Kirk. You draft the Iowa State receivers. They're really fun. The run game, I really don't know who's going to be starting running back, whether it's going to be Mixon, Chubb, Pierce. They drafted Woody Marks.
It won't be Mixon. Mixon's already out for the first 4 weeks minimum.
Yeah, well, I knew that. I knew he was going to be out for the first 4 weeks, but I'm wondering, if it's going to be Chubb or or when he comes back, what's it going to be like? It's just like, okay, we got 4 running backs here. What are we going to do? So, the defense, though, I mean, the defense is a really safe bet. Defense is a safe bet with D'Amico, with Hunter and Anderson on the outside.
Fantastic pass rushers plus Stingley.
Oh
Pretty good starting point.
Stingley, Lassiter came on as a rookie. Bullock and Petrie are solid options at safety. So defense is a safe bet, but I mean, it's going to really hinge on what if this offense can go back to maybe not being completely like what you saw in 23 or in 23, but get a little bit closer to that this year, and not being like 100% there, but being like, I don't know, 80% there, 85% there.
Yep. One thing I will say too, Ryan, in your comparisons between the Bears and the Jags, I do think the Jags have the personnel that fits Liam Cohen a bit better than the Bears have personnel fit Ben Johnson. I look at Brian Thomas and I can see him doing some of the things that Mike Evans does. I look at Justin Hunter and I see him be able to do some of the things that Chris Godwin can do. So it's like I look at Travis Etienne and say he can do some of the things that like a little less Bucky, but a bit more Rashad White can do, And same for Byshell Tootin. I do think Tank Bigsby's a bit of a runner too, so that he could be a thing. So I see some of the pieces being able to at least fit the chessboard there. They may not be shiny and pretty, but they can at least fit.
Yeah. I will say I just heard Justin Hunter.
Gosh dang it, Ryan. I've been doing that all summer. I cannot tell you how many times I've called him Justin Hunter. Why? Why do I keep on doing this, Ryan? Literally, like one of my friends, Nathan, I texted him. We were talking about Travis Hunter, and I texted him. I called him Justin Hunter, and he goes, "Wow, Justin Hunter. That really came out of nowhere, didn't it?" Why, Ryan? Why am I cursed with
Listen,
Justin Hunter?
I have not thought about Justin Hunter in so long.
No one has.
The only reason I would think about him is if I look at that Tennessee offense that he was in when he was at UT and like, man, I wish he would be in this hypo offense.
Well, and like, here's the thing though, Ryan. I was very like anti Justin Hunter when he was like being drafted and like being hyped up in the NFL and stuff. I was like, all this guy can do is jump. That's it. He can't catch. He's not actually all that fast. He can't run a route. He can jump. That's all. I was very anti Justin Hunter. And here I am now because of these Freudian slips being the one to keep his memory alive. It's not. Why am I cursed? I feel like freaking Red Skull right now. And Justin Hunter is the Soul Stone.
You just need a Thanos to come and get it. You just
yes. Please, someone, Liam Cohen, come take my Justin Hunter Soul Stone away from me.
Oh goodness me. AFC West here. This one was a this one is a fun one to talk about here. I kind of mentioned in my AFC West preview that I kind of figured I feel like the Raiders are probably the team I would have in the last in this division. I don't know. I know when Rebecca and I talked about, when we talked about the Chiefs and we briefly talked about this division, we said I think one of the things was this division could potentially have 3 teams come out of here and get into the playoffs.
It can. It did last year.
It did last year. I mean, it's just a matter of who are going to be those 2 other teams.
Yep.
Besides Kansas City.
Math gets hard there, especially if the Raiders are actually pretty good. Right?
Yeah.
Like the sheer quantity of available wins just goes down a little bit. So that'd be really hard. I had the Chiefs win the division though. I think they still managed to do it, but I think especially the Broncos are gonna be really good. Spoilers for a wild card pick.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs too, but the Broncos are another team that I feel like we're probably in for a big year from Bo Nix. Offensive line is all back, although they were really healthy last year, and normally that doesn't stay the same year to year. So you kind of wonder how healthy are they going to be this year. Running game, I know they're excited about RJ Harvey. Of course,
I'm excited about RJ Harvey. Right, I am. I think. Let me try to think here off the top of my head. I think I have done 7 fall fantasy football drafts, and I think I've drafted him in 5 of them. This is a kid who is super explosive. He can be a pass catcher. He's in a Sean Payton offense. Javonte Williams got a lot of opportunities with the football last year. He didn't go anywhere with him, but the usage was there. J.K. Dobbins, I love you, J.K. He's best in a limited role, though, right? Like, you have to keep this guy on the football field in order for him to help you. Don't give him more than 10 touches in a game, right? I think Ryan, I'm really excited. I can, honestly, if Dobbins can handle a bit more work, I can see a world where they're like a prime Ingram Kamara level of attack on the ground. On the ground / catching out of the backfield, right? Like that really is what I can see out of this team. And I think Bo Nix, I know I'm not the biggest Bo Nix fan. I thought going into the draft, I wasn't a big Bo Nix fan, but the system, it was always the dream pairing though, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He got a bit of Drew Brees blood in him, Um, it's a good fit. It just is, I really like Pat Bryant that they drafted. Sorry, Ryan. I guess we just transitioned here from AFC West to the top wild card pick here because they are my number one wild card team. I think the defense is excellent. Sertan's an absolute freaking stud over there on the
Oh
corner.
man. Yeah.
But the defense as a whole is top three at worst. You
Mm-hmm.
think Taysom's number one.
Yeah. I mean, definitely you can make the case because they got a lot of guys everywhere on that defense. Benito, Zach Allen up
Yeah.
there. They drafted John A. Barron to pair with Sertan, which I mean, that's if Barron hits, I mean, you talk about a lethal corner duo right there. That's it right there, especially in this AFC division and in this conference as a whole, where you got a lot of stud receivers. So I mean, yeah, I mean they are probably. I don't know which wild card pick they are for me, but they're definitely one of them. The Chargers are definitely another team that you have to think about here as a wild card team and where they fit in this division. I mean, I feel like, listen, Jim Harbaugh wins everywhere he's at. He's got his quarterback. If you don't know, he loves his quarterback. Just take a look at that meme of him just staring, looking and all struck and like, this guy's my quarterback.
He loves Justin Herbert almost as much as Madison Beer does. I just discovered who that is. I didn't know who that was. I was very confused when Sleeper changed Justin Herbert's profile picture to this woman. I had to do the research on Twitter. I saw they went for a date and he was wearing a leg sleeve, and I think that's hilarious.
Random thing.
But I guess they ran like a chess tournament together, which, hey, I like chess too. Fun fact for you, Ryan. I was actually on the chess team in junior high.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when
Okay.
we actually won our district my 8th grade year, I guess it was.
Mm.
We were the chess champions that year.
Hey, how about that?
Yeah.
Get the parade going.
Little known lore for you there. Yeah. The movie
Yeah.
watchers would know that one. Only the comic book readers of my life would pick that one up.
Dropping some lore here 8 years into doing the NFL predictions pod.
Isn't it nice when I still have some surprises to throw your way?
Yeah, it's always nice. Listen, you're friends with somebody for a long time. Eventually, there will be some stuff that you don't know, and that you'll find. I was like, huh, I didn't know that. I've known you for a long time. So,
are you a chess guy, Ryan?
I leaned more towards checkers, although there was a chess club at my high school, and I was kind of it piqued my interest for a little bit. I went, I think, I can't remember what happened, with it. I think it was like my sophomore year. I don't know if it ever really picked up any steam, but no.
See, weirdly enough, we didn't have it in high school, only middle school.
Weird. Yeah, that
So
is
who knows?
weird.
I could have been like best friends with Justin Herbert if like this whole thing could have played out a little bit differently. But alas, here we are, and I am just here picking them to finish third or fourth in their division. And it's
Yeah.
because I like the Chargers, and things went really well for them last year, Ryan. And here's why I struggle, and this is why I actually don't have them in the playoffs. I have them missing it. And here's where it's really hard. Things went really good for them. I love the roster. They brought back Keenan Allen even. I love me some Keenan Allen, Ryan.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're the Chargers. And they just had a lot of things go right from last year that they typically don't have go right. So maybe it is a new dawn, maybe it's a new day, but I just couldn't pull the trigger. So I actually have them on the outside looking in this year because they're the Chargers. They're gonna blow too many one possession games in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think law of averages would dictate that it's probably going to head back the other direction.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, who knows? I mean, it could be the sort of with Harbaugh coming in there. Maybe it's turning a leaf finally after all the years they've had those types of games. I think for me, I'll wait on my wild card picks. I gotta, I feel like I'm gonna have them in there, but the defense is probably my main question mark with them. Just like how it looks right now. Jason Minner did pretty good job with that unit last year, but it's just I question the guys out there on the edge, on the interior too. But I do like what they have come back with this offense. You add a Marion Hampton to it. It fits exactly what Harbaugh wants to do. Receiver McConkey was great last year. The guy gets open and he catches everything that's thrown his way.
Love
And
them.
offensive line, the interior's got some question marks, but other than that, I mean, you feel pretty good about Alt, even though Slater is out for the year, I believe. So
Yeah.
that's a big loss right there. But I mean, they got some other good pieces there, and then the Raiders, I think, I do think it's good that they got adults in the room with Gino and Pete,
Yep.
but I don't know because it's this division.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the best case scenario for them is just like those guys are able to get them on track and like reset the room, and maybe they can, maybe Gino can be their Alex Smith of the Chiefs, right? Hey, maybe
That's a
he
good
can make
comp.
the wild card. Maybe he can, not this division, but be a division winning quality team, right? And then you draft the kid who's the next superstar for you. But that's what's gonna take, and they just don't have that right now. Or they just don't have the juice for that. Max Crosby's a freaking superstar on the defense, but like one thing I do find interesting too is the Jacoby Myers trade request. I don't
Yeah,
expect that to go anywhere. He just wants to get paid. He's looking around, seeing everybody else getting money, and saying, "Well, I want money." They did
don't
sign,
we all?
right? Yeah, they did sign. Yeah, Ryan, I'm gonna go here. Ryan, I'm gonna put myself on a mute. That was my holdout, Ryan. I want more money from you, but I caved very quickly. They did sign Amari Cooper though, the shell of him. So I don't know. It's just very strange, Ryan. We had the meme in the group chat today. Keenan Allen, Adam Thielen, Amari Cooper, and Brandon Cooks are all back with their like original teams.
Mhm.
Like 10 years later. I mean, Brandon Cooks has been a Satan forever. And we're talking about good NFL teams today. So I managed to shoehorn the Saints in here at least into the
Yeah.
conversation.
Oh.
But
Yeah, I had a thought that just crossed my mind. If just getting the Raiders on track, and thinking about Brady being a
yeah,
minority owner here. What if
yeah.
they're in for Arch Manning in like a couple years?
It'll be really hard to get there if they're decent. Like if they
Yeah,
don't totally suck, it would cost the RG3 trade.
yeah. I'm just throwing out funny scenarios that could
Sure,
potentially happen in this timeline, which I
totally.
think,
But
oh, the
Brady,
Tom Brady
Brady
drafting,
drafted Manning. Yeah,
yeah, drafting Peyton's nephew, and it's like, please lead my team to championships.
yeah.
That, that'd be one of the funniest things that happened on this timeline. But that is the AFC West. So again, to recap our division winners: Ravens win the North, Bills in the East. Matt's going with the Jags in the South. I'm going with the Texans, and we're both going with the Chiefs in the West. So pretty much, besides the South, we all went chalk in the AFC. Now let's see if that holds in the NFC. And I figure
Did you want to do
we start
wild
with the
card
AFC North.
first?
Hmm?
Do you want to do AFC wild card first?
Oh, well, okay, yeah. Let's do AFC wild card and let's get that out of the way. So you had the Broncos
Yep.
as your number
With
one.
Broncos.
I am gonna have the Bengals as mine.
Okay.
Um, they finally got a deal done with Hendrickson. Granted, it's a 1 year deal, but you take what you can get. I think if you're a Bengals fan.
Absolutely.
Um, but I mean, the offense is going to be good. I mean, we know that. I mean, you
The
got Joe
offense is gonna
Burrow.
be stellar. Yeah.
It's just the defense, and can those young guys that they've drafted all the year, can they finally show something? Can Al Golden get something out of them? Um,
Which I do
I'm
have the
go
Bengals as my second wild card.
okay. So we're flip flopping here with
Okay.
our first two. So I'm going Broncos. Here's my number two.
Okay.
Uh, what's your number three?
Mine's Houston. And
Okay.
they get to also kind of beat up on that bad division too.
Yeah. That
I think
that's
they
fair.
can find their way to 9 or 10 wins, you know, and I think for a third wild card, that can be all it takes, you know. I don't think they're gonna be great, but I think they're gonna be good enough. You know, basically, that's me not believing in the Steelers to make the playoffs as the third team in the North, really. And it's me not believing in the Chargers enough. Those are really kind of the two things that have to happen here.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know if I have the guts to put the Steelers as the third wild card team. I don't know if I have the guts, and I don't know if I actually believe it'll actually happen with Aaron Rodgers. I'm skeptical of that happening. So sorry, Peter. Tomlin's missing out on the playoffs. I
Oh,
think I
Peter's gonna love that.
yeah,
Peter doesn't want to make the playoffs.
well, it's going to be a classic Tomlin season. You know, them being like over 500 and them barely missing out on the playoffs. You know, it's feels like it's classic Tomlin right there. I feel I'm going to go with the Chargers here. I am going to go and put them as my third team. I wasn't sure, you know, because I was thinking about okay, I don't know if I'm with the Steelers, Chargers. I've you know losing Slater is big. That's a big time loss. Losing your blindside protector, and then I was just thinking about the AFC South. I'm like, I don't know if I trust any of those teams to find a way to get that wild card spot. So I think I'm going with the Chargers here as my third wild card team. And so that would mean two teams from the AFC West would get wild card spots in that scenario.
Which
So
is the same as last year. Last
it,
year it was two West teams plus one North.
and that's the same thing. That's the same thing this year. So I think that's where we're at with the AFC. I think, you know, we start with the AFC North. Let's start with the NFC North. I called this one this one's going to be the most difficult division, I think, to pick just because I think there's a lot to like about all these teams. They all have really good offensive play callers that you like and you know that are going to call some excellent game plans. And also, I'm thinking about it, man. You know, I touched on in the preview. Jordan Love is the most veteran quarterback here in this division, besides Golf. Golf,
Oh yeah,
okay. I forgot Golf existed for a second,
longest,
but you
longest
have Golf, you have Love, and then you got two second-year quarterbacks. Although Love, I mean, he's his third year as a starter, so I mean, you can throw that in there. But and then you have a rookie head coach in Ben Johnson. You got the Lions having some changes with offensive and defensive coordinator, which are going to be, I think, it really hugely important. And but I think this one is going to be a tough division to pick, considering you know how important those guys with the Lions were. You know, Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, just like how big they were. Are we going to see any kind of drop off there from you know those from how the plays are drawn up, how the defense and offensive plays? And then the Vikings, I mean, Kevin O'Connell, excellent coach, but he's got essentially a rookie quarterback this year and JJ McCarthy coming in there. And then you got Jordan Love, who didn't have a great season last year, had some injuries, got nicked up a little bit. And then you got the Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams pairing, which is really, I think, going to be fascinating to watch. So, Matt, who are you kind of leaning towards as far as winning the North? Are you feeling a little bit worried about the Lions and like losing Ben and losing Aaron?
yeah, 100% I am. I think losing both those coordinators really is going to cause an adjustment that is really difficult to overcome. You know, we've seen that several times where coordinators leave, especially a situation like their offense, where I feel like it's very system based offense. And I know they promote within, so it's kind of be the same system, but things are going to change a little bit. Um, I do also just kind of look at some of their players and say, you've been doing some things better than what you should do, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown, back to back years, double digit touchdowns. He's a really good player. He's not stylistically a double digit touchdown style player. Jameer Gibbs, double digit touchdowns on the ground last year. He's Sonic, not Knuckles for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, with Knuckles and David Montgomery, he's reaching that age now where I start to get a little bit worried about a drop off, right? Now Jameson Williams, rocket ship emojis. I think Jameson Williams, Ryan, my bold prediction for the season. and I don't know even if I believe it, but my boldest prediction I've come up with is Jameson Williams is a better year than Amon-Ra St. Brown this year.
Ooh,
Yeah, spicy.
that's a hot take.
That's a good one. Um, but I think the defense takes a step back. You know, there's a question on whether or not Hutchinson is the Terminator that he was before the injury, right? Like it's a really high level of play to try to get back to from a really bad injury. The offensive line, you know, now you got Frank Ragnow retired. Like your center is a huge part of it, especially when he's that darn good as what Frank Ragnow was. You know, he helps set those
Mhm.
protections and stuff. So there's a whole storm of question marks there in Detroit. And the answer last year to all those question marks was yes. And I'm not saying all those question marks are going to now turn into no's, but if even just a couple of them do, you've got some piranhas in this division who are ready to pounce and take that spot, right?
Oh boy, are
So
they?
that's where, by the way, one of those piranhas is out fishing for a big fish and pass rusher right now. And if that deal gets done, I'm going to feel even better about the bet that I placed last week when I was in Iowa on the Green Bay Packers. And they are my division winner for this division, Ryan. I've got the Packers. I believe in Matt LaFleur's system. I believe in Jordan Love. I love that they drafted Matthew Golden in round one. They finally, drafted a round one wide receiver. I think Tucker Kraft has some George Kittle in him. I think he's really good. The
Mm.
offensive line's really good. Zach Tom is a freaking superstar. The defense has good enough pieces. No Jair, which is gonna, they're gonna miss him for 8 games, but I think there's enough of that defense to get by still. They're really strong at safety. And if they can add Micah Parsons, whoo, buddy, I am in on Green Bay this year, Ryan.
Well, wait, are there stuff with the Packers and Parsons?
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like it's pretty deep. Um,
Oh boy,
if
oh
Parsons
boy.
gets traded, I think it might be to Green Bay at this point.
Ooh, that could be a big time game changer right there. Oh boy. Okay, so I hadn't gotten an inkling of that. So that's that could be big time for Green Bay if they're able to land that,
Wouldn't that
at some point.
that would be like the move
Ooh.
for them?
I mean, it also addresses they getting a legit pass rusher. Like Rashawn Gary is fine,
Yeah,
but like
he's really good.
Parsons is that tone setter.
Yeah, yeah, and like when
Um,
they brought in Zadarius Smith, this would be that times five. And Zadarius was really good for them, but this would just be an ultimate version of that.
yeah. I think I am gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with Minnesota here,
Okay.
and I think I'm gonna roll on the fact that Kevin O'Connell's a great offensive coach. There's a reason why McCarthy fits that system too. I kind of see it as like, you know, that's the Bo Nix and Sean Payton pairing in the
Mm-hmm.
NFC, and I think that's going to do wonders. The difference is the Vikings have Justin Jefferson and the Broncos do not. Now, Cortland Sutton, right, but I mean Justin Jefferson is Justin Jefferson for a reason. So, you won't have Addison for a few games to start out, but you will have Hawkinson. I think the offensive line, they made a point to make sure like that is going to be good to go. Like all across the board, it looks like getting Will Fries, getting Ryan Kelly, drafting Donovan Jackson to go alongside Darisaw and O'Neal. They made a point like, hey, we want to be a more physical running game. And I think that can really help out McCarthy with the physical running game and get that
And,
going.
and Jordan Mason that they brought in to be the back.
And yeah, and Jordan Mason too. You got Jordan Mason, you got Aaron Jones back there. So I mean, listen, I think that offense is going to be set up good to go, and the defense. I mean, they loaded up on the front of that too. Bringing in Hargrave, Jonathan Allen. Yes, they're a little bit older. Yes, the deals are probably a little bit too rich, but I think and you wonder how they fit in the timeline with JJ and all that. But I think bring him in there when you feel like, hey, we have a shot here with this window. And we talked a little bit about the window when we did the NFC North pod, but it feels like they got a little bit of a window right here with a rookie quarterback. The secondary is going to be the question mark with them. I feel like that the same thing with the Packers too. I think that's a question mark with them too.
Yep.
But I got the Vikings winning this division, but I think I got the Lions being the runner up. and the Packers third, and I think I got the Bears fourth. But again, this division is going to be awesome to watch. It's going to be like if you want want to watch good offensive play calling, watch this division.
I will unveil the rest of my NFC North later. Spoilers for the wild card situation. Ryan, I agree with you on the Vikings. I do, however, I see the nightmare path in front of me though, where Justin Jefferson currently is dealing with a hamstring problem. Doesn't sound like a big deal. Much like Devin Achan, he's fine, guys. Um, Jordan Addison is already suspended. Jalen Naylor picked up some kind of injury in camp. It's not major, but it was enough to where they had to go trade for Adam Thielen. And then TJ Hawkinson, I'm a Hawkinson guy. I believe in Hawk, but he wasn't very good last year for the most part as he was coming back from a torn ACL. But just keep that in mind. Aaron Jones is 50. Jordan Mason's never been a starter before. And JJ McCarthy is basically a rookie who you can argue at Michigan was like the eighth best player in his offense, right?
Yeah.
So I believe in the Vikings, and that will be revealed in a little bit. I am with everything you said. I do just also see that downside potential. However, I think they hit the upside of it.
I think part of the reason why I made this pick is because I think they got the best head coach in this division. Clearly, I think they got the best head coach in this division, a guy that knows what he's doing on offense, and it got the most out of Sam Darnold last year. Which I mean, nobody saw that coming. So
No.
the fact that he was able to do that, I think is like, okay, this guy can coach. He can get the most out of his quarterback. So I think that's why. I think it's just like the head coach is really good for the Vikings. KLC is really good.
Yeah.
So that's the NFC North. Let's go to the NFC East. Speaking of Micah Parsons and his current team with the Cowboys, let's talk about the NFC East. Of course, we got the Eagles, who were the defending champs last year from the season ago. You got the Commanders, who were kind of the surprise from last season, met the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. And then you got the Cowboys and the Giants as well. Matt, how are you feeling about the NFC East this year? How are you feeling about the Eagles coming back off of that Super Bowl win, and how do you think they respond this year? Because they did lose some key guys on that Super Bowl winning team to free agency, like Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, but they do have guys that they're retooling and replacing them with.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very disappointing division as a whole. I still have the Eagles winning it. I do not have the Eagles being this like juggernaut, 14-win team again this year. I'm very worried about Saquon Barkley coming off of all of the touches that he got last year. Um, every single 2,000-yard rusher has a pretty significant decline the following year, Ryan. And I don't see a real reason why Saquon wouldn't follow that. It's not like Saquon Barkley is exactly like a golden picture of medical history to begin with. Like he was healthy last year, but don't we remember all those years in New York where Saquon would miss like 3, 4, 5, 7 games? Like that happened almost every year in New York. So I'm very concerned about Saquon Barkley holding up. I'm a little worried about what their backup RB situation is like. It reminds me of the Ravens a little bit, where I look at Will Shipley and go, yeah, you're not the guy if Saquon goes down. Much like how I look at Justice Hill and go, you're not the guy if something were to happen to Derrick Henry. It'd be a bit of a committee situation. I just don't know how well that goes for them. Defensively, you're right. They lost some guys. Now they do have a lot of young guys on defense who I do think take the step forward and take a step up and kind of help replace that production a little bit by just improving. Excuse me. But I do also see the Commanders as a disappointment waiting to happen. I don't like the way the Commanders handled their offseason at all this year. Between just like the Terry McLaurin messiness and him missing
it's a mess.
everything up until this week, right? Like now he's back and he's in, but will he be behind? Will he, we often see these holdouts, a soft tissue injury, a groin, a hammy. It happens a lot to these guys, right? Brian Robinson Jr. traded, gone. I think, Jacory Krosky Merritt, I mean, my Twitter timeline would tell you he's the Chuck Norris of running backs, but we'll see, Besides him, you've got a, 50-year-old Austin Eckler back there. So
Yeah.
like I don't know. It just felt to me like the Commanders came into this offseason with a lot of opportunity to do whatever they wanted. And I just feel like they spoiled that opportunity. Not that they're going to be terrible, but man, I just feel like they had the chance to really grab the league by the throat. And I feel like they decided, we'll get Debo.
And they got Tunsil too. I think that they take a look at it as like, okay, we're going to upgrade the offensive line now. While the offensive line was solid for what it was, I don't think you want to roll the dice on that again on that happening because I don't think it would happen for a second straight year. So get a guy in Tunsil who, I mean, listen, wasn't great in Houston last year, but was still their best offensive lineman by a mile, you know.
He
But
was, but didn't he have like a ton of holding calls? Or was it
he
false
did.
start? One of the two.
He
And
did. So
if it was it holding, Ryan? Do you remember? Is that what it was?
I think holdings, it sounds about right. Like he just got all
I'm
those
no
holding
offensive
calls.
line expert, but I feel like a lot of times you see this in like the NHL even a lot too. When guys start to lose a step, when they start to lose the speed of the game, they
Mm,
kind of commit penalties to make up for it. And he's an older player now. It's been a long time since he wore that gas mask on draft night. So I don't know. I don't necessarily
yeah.
think Laremy Tunsil and Debo Samuel are like a golden peak offseason for this team.
Yeah, it did kind of feel like with how they were trying to operate their offseason that they were going to try to be. It makes some similar moves like the Texans from a year ago, but you know, defense. There's some questions with them because edge rusher. There's questions out there. Uh, but I mean, Dan Quinn's a good defensive coach, but there's some questions out there. I got the Eagles as well. I see those young players too, and I think I mentioned that in the preview that it may just be like a year, like okay, we're going to figure out who are going to be the guys that are going to step in those roles, who's going to step up, and then we move forward into 2026. But those guys, we know what they can bring to the table, and then that's we can make our push to go back to the Super Bowl in 2026. So I kind of feel like that's where they're heading. But I mean, yeah, Saquon is probably going to have a little bit of a down year from the year he had to go, and then this offensive line, Leighton Johnson is still getting older, but I mean, he's still playing really well.
Yeah.
Um, Goddard, you're wondering how much you're going to get out of him, and yeah, um, we'll have to see. But I think I'm on the same page as you. Eagles, a little bit of a down year for them. They're still going to win this division. I think the Commanders do finish second, and then the Cowboys and Giants are going to be third and fourth again this year. Um, the Giants, listen, they have been hindered ever since this podcast started by the Peter Lewis curse, and that doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon.
No, it really isn't.
Like, I think we're going to look back at this curse and say, like, this is one of the most unbelievable curses that have ever happened. Where a guy on a podcast that's in somewhere in Missouri cursed the Giants for almost, you know, again, we've been doing this for 8 years, for almost a decade. And they had that one semi decent year, which Daniel Jones wasn't awful, but I mean, that was it. Yeah.
Wasn't awful is correct too. He was not that good. He just wasn't awful.
Oh, but I mean, it's going to continue to go on, I think. And then the Cowboys, listen, you know, they got the Micah thing that they're dealing with. Schottenheimer, I'm a little bit iffy on as a head coach. I just really don't know how all that's going to come together. So I feel like it's pretty safe to say like Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, and then Giants. Although I will say one thing I am excited about with the Giants, I'm excited to see, even though he might not get as many snaps, I'm excited to see how this Giants defense looks with all the guys that
Yes.
got up front.
Yep. The
But
pass rush is gonna be amazing.
oh man,
And,
like the
and like we kind of said with the Patriots, I think the Giants can be that of the NFC. Where like it could be, gosh, because like, and here's where I almost find them to be a bit sneaky, Ryan. The baseline of quarterback play for the New York Giants since this podcast began is very bad. Like you said, there was one year where Daniel Jones was just like, okay. And that's the best year that we've seen in recorded podcast history of the 573. of quarterback play, I think there's a chance Russell Wilson is the best quarterback that we've seen the Giants have since Eli was like not ancient yet. But it's again, it's like me picking the Jags win division. It's not a high bar, you know.
No.
And quite frankly, Jackson Dart might also be the best quarterback play that we've seen since this podcast began from the New York Football Giants. I mean, Tommy, freaking Tommy Lasorda over here with his Italian hands, like it's not like it's been very good, Ryan. Drew Lock, God bless him, MIZ. Lee Summit's right down the road, buddy. But man, it just wasn't very good, was it? Last year we had to watch him on Thanksgiving. That
Oh,
wasn't very fun, Ryan.
no,
So
never.
I don't know. I think the Giants can at least be a very improved team, but like the Patriots, it's an improvement to like 6-11.
I can see that. No, I could also see like I mean it's a big year for Dable. It's a big year for showing. I think just figure out like okay they're in a really kind of tricky spot like where it's kind of like the guys in Cleveland where like I think they want to win now to keep their jobs, but they also want to see what they got in the young guy. You know, so I don't know. I do expect we'll see Dart get some games in where he'll be the starter and we'll see how that goes. NFC South. Now, I mean, this division, you take a look at it. Baker is, I believe the elder statesman of this division because you got Penix, which is crazy to say.
Well, Penix could be the same age as Baker. Hang on.
It can be Brandon Whedon. Can be the Brandon Whedon of the 2020s. Oh man. No, yeah, you got Penix in here. You got Bryce Young, and then you got Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler or whoever the Saints throw out there. Honestly, they could throw out a fan out there. Who knows? Um, I think this division, for me, it feels like the Panthers like had a little bit of momentum last year with Bryce, and that's going to be the key thing for them this year. Is like, can he carry that momentum on into this year? You draft a wide receiver one and Ted McMillan. You bring him along there. You add some help defensively, but I still feel like this is a division that's going to be either the Bucks or the Falcons. It's going to be one of them, I think, by years in that are going to win this division. The Falcons haven't won this division for a long time. It's been a while for them.
Yeah.
So the Bucks, coming off winning the division last year, and you lose Cohen, I think that's obviously something like how is that going to affect them? Is that going to affect this offense at all? It could, I think, a little bit, but I still think this offense has an extremely high ceiling. Defensively, I would like to see them add a little bit more. Where do you stand on the NFC South?
So I have the Falcons win this division. It's a lot of Penix being the guy, and Bijan being incredible, and Kyle Pitts being serviceable, and Drake London being a super stud, and the defense being improved. Right, like they drafted some pass rush help on the defensive side of the ball, so like that has to come through to a point. This is not. I mean, this is a 10-win division, right? This is not one where you need to win 12 games to win. This is not the AFC West. It's
No.
not the AFC North. You need 10 wins and you can win this division. It's almost more of a bit of an anti-Tampa take also. Um, I have loved seeing what Baker Mayfield has become. Here is some nerdy fantasy number here for you, Ryan. Um, so Baker Mayfield, in his career, he's got a 5% touchdown rate, which is actually kind of high. Most guys, like 4% is pretty usual, right? um you'll see guys have this like one spike season. Like Lamar had a 9% one year, and I think his first MVP was like a 7.5%. Mahomes, he had like a 7 or 8% one year. Rodgers had a couple of those, but then it always kind of normalizes back down to like a 4.5%, right? Okay. So Baker Mayfield last year had a 7.2% touchdown rate. He threw 41 touchdowns, Ryan. Basically, my nerdy little stat there, at the end of the day, it's I don't think Baker Mayfield is a 40 touchdown passer. I think he is closer to
Yeah.
a 28-31, right? That kind of a range. On top of that, Ryan, last year Baker led the NFL in interceptions with 16. I think if that interception number stays steady and the touchdowns come down from Baker, I just don't know if they can quite get enough, right? Godwin's banged up, and Godwin, I love Chris. This hurts me, Ryan. This hurts my soul because you know how much since the start of this podcast I have loved these Tampa receivers.
Yeah.
Um, but when you love someone for that long, it means they're old now, right? And so Mike Evans, who I love Mike Evans, I just have a hard time betting on it going into a season now. Like in any individual week, he can go for 120 and two touchdowns. I'm gonna love every second of it. I just have a hard time banking on it going into a season. Godwin coming off of another awful lower body injury. It's his second one now. I have a hard time counting on that to come back. Emeka Ibuka, I really liked him going in the NFL draft, Ryan. First round pick, maybe that'll help, but rookies sometimes take a little while to figure things out.
Yeah.
Jalen McMillan, he suffered like a really nasty like neck injury, I think it was, or a back injury
Mm,
last week. So that hurts there too. I love Bucky Irving, but he's kind of that archetype where we'll see if it translates from one year to the next. I just see a lot of regression with the Bucks and progression with the Falcons. So I'm going with Atlanta.
yeah. Man. Yeah. I think I'm going to be with you on the Falcons. I think I'm going to be with you on the Falcons. I was kind of leaning slightly towards Bucks, but I think
It was a pretty good sell, if I can give myself some credit.
it's a good sell. I think it's just one thing with the Falcons for me, as I penciled them in. I think one thing, and we talked about this on the preview, is just the defense. You add those guys up there, Jalen Walker and James Pierce. And listen, I love Pierce, but he is, as far as edge rushers go, the speed move is his move, and he's on the lighter side of those tall, lanky edge rushers around 245, 250. So he's not the biggest guy. Um, and Jalen Walker's a little bit of a tweener, and they didn't really add any big time talent to their interior. So I do have my questions about the defense. The offense, like you point out, I think should be incredible. The offensive line is solid. You,
Yeah,
you got those guys there, even though they did lose Drew Dolman at center. So you're breaking in a new center there. And then you're getting a full year of Penix, and you're excited to see what he can do. And I mean, listen, if he can be what he was at Washington when he had all those weapons surrounding him with Odunze, Polk, and McMillan, if he can be that type of guy where you have London, you have Mooney, you have Pitts being solid, you have Bijan and Algier in the backfield, I think there's a lot to get excited about with that offense. So I'm going to go with you on the Falcons, but as you point out, this is a 10-win division winner right here. Nothing more than that. If you are, then hold off. Be careful. Don't do it. Don't bet your life savings on it. So I think that's where we're going to leave it off with the NFC South. And then finally, we got the NFC West. And I think this for me is one of those divisions that was a toss up too.
I, this one I went back and forth. I think I've changed my answers to three of the four teams. I never did pick the Cardinals though.
Yeah. Poor Cardinals. Um, yeah, I remember thinking talking about this one and just being like, this is a mess. I don't know who do I want to lean on as far as who's winning this. Like somebody's got to win this division.
Yeah. And quite frankly, Ryan, I think whoever ends up winning this division will do it by being a good team. I really do. I just don't know who that's going to be. And I think all four teams also could be kind of a disaster. Like, okay, so you've got the Rams, right? And
Yeah.
they've got a 40-year-old quarterback with a back problem. That's
Not
not a
great.
good place to start.
No.
And you've got Garoppolo as your backup. So like your backup scenario is at least a guy who can win some football games in the NFL. You've got defense that I don't know, Ryan. I have a hard time really buying into the Rams defense. Like maybe I'm just having like post Aaron Donald trauma syndrome here, but like I know they were pretty good last year, but I just have a hard time with that defense. Okay.
It's the secondary for me. It's honestly
Yeah,
the secondary.
totally.
I like a lot of those front seven players like Verse,
Hurts is
Fisk,
fantastic.
Turner, like all of them.
Yep. Okay, so that's the Rams, right? With your achy breaky back quarterback who's 40. Then you've got the 49ers, who entire team is an achy breaky back. Everybody, probably except for the quarterback, I look at you and go, man, I sure am scared of that guy getting hurt. And that's what happened to them last year, right? Basically, the entire team was hurt and it was awful. And so they were awful. But it's all guys who like have extensive injury problems, though. It's not like it's just a bunch of one-off guys. No, it's these have happened before. Okay. But if they play, I think they'll be really good, right? The 49ers are a really, really talented roster. Then you've got
Yeah.
Seattle, who is incredibly boring. And they made a weird acquisition with the Cooper Cup thing. I don't really know how much I like that fit for the offense. And oh, by the way, now the offense is run by Sam freaking Darnold, Ryan, who, yes, he was so good for so many weeks last year until he started seeing ghosts in the wild card game. And it's broke all the trust. It's one of those things. You can spend all this time earning trust back, but you break it once, it's gone. And so Sam Darnold has lost my trust immediately after winning it. And oh, by the way, did I ever actually trust you, or did I just trust your coach? Did I trust Kevin O'Connell?
Yeah.
Right? And then you
Yeah.
got the Cardinals, who just always disappoint. And like Kyler never quite puts it all together. Kind of in Trevor Lawrencean kind of way. Like you're not bad, but you're not great. And so it never all seems to go your way. You find weird ways to lose sometimes. Like the defense there could be kind of bad too. And Marvin Harrison can't actually seem to get open. He just jumps high and is physical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I don't know, Ryan. I picked the 49ers, but I don't know.
Literally, this is one of those scenarios in which it really helps to have that random wheel that we will always throw out here. Just like put those four teams on there and just whoever it lands on, that's who we're going with. It honestly feels like this is the vision to pull that out and use it for. I mean, this division, I think, is just. I think I'm going to go with the Rams. I don't like it. I don't like it, but
I mean,
I'm
all
gonna
you
I'm
need
gonna go
is
with them.
Stafford. If Stafford stays healthy,
That's the big if.
and even if he doesn't, Garoppolo can win 9.
He can, and you got Sean McVay as your coach. So I mean,
Yes.
the guy knows how to call an offense. You got Puka, you got Devontae, you got Kyron Williams, you got a solid enough offensive line, and then I think the defense. I mean, listen, if that front seven can continue and build off of what they did last year, I mean, they were playing some really good football down the stretch. With what they were able to do. Chris Shula did a really good job there. It's just that secondary, I think, scares everybody to death because they didn't address it. But I think, listen, out of all these teams, I think out of all the teams, besides Shanahan, I mean, Shanahan's a really excellent coach too, so it wouldn't surprise me. So
Is
honestly, listen, I think you go with the two best coaches in this division. I think you trust that.
And Ryan, you know what? I'm almost rooting for your way to happen in a way because I've been calling for about 5 years now that one of these years Andy Reid's gonna retire and Kyle Shanahan's gonna get fired. And then Kyle's gonna go to KC and coach Patrick Mahomes. And I kind of think a little bit if the 49ers go under 500 this year, they may finally decide this is the year to make that move. I wouldn't do it. I think Kyle's incredible, but they may finally run out of that patience. I know. I think totally though. Like, I'm not a Devontae Adams guy for this year. I think he's kind of old and done. But Puka's there. He's incredible. Like I said, if Stafford stays healthy, there's a reason for all these teams. This really is probably the most difficult. It's like the AFC South, except I think they're all good. But not, I don't think any of them are going to win the wild card though, because I see they're all such house of cards though. That's like things aren't going to go right for more than one of these teams.
Yeah.
And so that's where I actually don't have any of those in my wild card picks.
Yeah, I don't have any of them. I'm not going with any of those teams in my wild card either. It's just like one of you is getting in. Be thankful for that. Be thankful one of you is getting in. It's just like which one of you wants to get in. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Which one of you has the things go right that need to go right? Because it's only going to happen for one.
Yeah. Let's go wild card here. Who's your first wild card?
Minnesota Vikings. All the reasons you stated earlier. Just go play back to that section.
I'm gonna go with the Lions here. I think they're gonna get that first wild card. Again, I think those changes are gonna be big for them.
I have them at number 2, so I am still a Detroit makes the playoff guy. I just there's enough questions there to I went the other ways.
Then, as far as my wild card 2, I think I am gonna go with. I'll tell you what. Even though we talked about the all season, the all season not being all that fun for them on your part, I'm gonna go with the Commanders.
Yeah, I think most
I,
people will. Most people might have them winning the division this year.
Yeah, and I mean Jaden was. I mean, I don't know what he's got in store for an Act 2 coming off his rookie season, but I'm excited to see what he has in store.
Absolutely.
All right, then the final wild card spot.
I went Tampa here. I figure they can get 4 easy wins in the division. Enough can go right. I don't love them, but I think enough can go right there. And I kind of wanted to put my money where my mouth was a little bit on to the Commanders.
I am going to make this final pick the Packers.
Okay.
So we both have 3 teams from the NFC North getting in there. All same 3 teams. Sorry, Chicago fans.
Life is hard for those guys.
Listen, they get Ben Johnson. They have all this stuff like off-season champs every year. Then the season starts.
Ryan, I just don't think it's a good fit, and we've seen that playing out in camp from all reports. Is that it's just not been a very good camp, not been a very good preseason. I thought this, at the moment the signing happened, but like Caleb Williams stylistically just does not fit what Ben Johnson is stylistically.
Yeah, I think if you're Chicago, that's not the hope that you wanted. You hope that they were going to be a good pairing. I mean, we still got to see how the season's going to play out and see get some regular season games in here, but not off to a great start. Not off to a great start by all accounts. Let's go and let's talk about our championship picks. Of course, AFC and NFC. Matt, who do you have making your AFC championship?
So I basically have had a theory on my AFC side of the bracket. So I've got the Bills as the 1 seed, right? Easiest division. I don't really have too many worries there, right? Bills is the 1 seed, meaning they get the bye. I have them beating the Chiefs, which means the Chiefs beat the Ravens in the divisional round. And that means I'm sad. And that means I get to hear about it all. Another year from everyone, quite frankly, from everyone except for my wife, because she just feels really bad at this point. Like,
yeah,
she does, And so I have the Chiefs beating the Ravens in the divisional round. But I've had this theory about the AFC side of the bracket, though, that whoever avoids the divisional round matchup between the Ravens, Bills, and Chiefs, whoever's on the other side of the bracket, they get the win in the conference game because that other team's going to have so much just taken out of them. And to try to hit that parlay of being both the Ravens, the Bills, or the Chiefs and Ravens, or the Chiefs and Bills, that's such a hard pair of games, So I've got the Buffalo Bills going to the Super Bowl. The big blue man strikes once again.
Yeah, and I mean, also he gets a shot at his ring, but I know in the group chat there's a list of mention of quarterbacks that Taylor got a ring before. Technically, Josh did get a ring before. He got married first, so I mean,
That's fair. That's
that
fair.
that counts as a ring. So
As far as I'm aware, that just leaves Lamar and Burrow.
so yeah, I think. Listen, I got the Bills over the Ravens, so I had the Ravens going to
Oh,
the AFC Championship. So I got the Bills and Ravens. And let me ask you this: I don't think it necessarily matters who they would want to play. I think it just matters like getting to over the hump and getting to the Super Bowl. Who do you think they would rather it be, Ravens or Chiefs, or which one would be the better storyline? Because I feel like the Chiefs, it would probably be the better, the one they would want, the movie type of ending to get over the hump.
I think the excitement of the idea. So in that scenario, did the Bills or the Ravens beat the Chiefs? Which one?
Um, ooh.
Because basically, who do you have as the one seed, right? Because the other two will be
Yeah,
two.
I got the Bills as the one seed. I got the
Cool.
Bills as the one seed. So it'd be the Ravens over the Chiefs. So I do have that.
Hey, hey, I at least have that going for me. I think that scenario, I think would be incredibly exciting because it's like, hey, we are guaranteed a new AFC champion, right? It's kind of like Ryan. There's been a couple times where like the WWE title is up for grabs in an elimination chamber match, and the champion's eliminated early, and it's like, hey, we are guaranteed a new WWE champion, right? That's really exciting. But at the same time, though, from the Bills standpoint, let's say the Bills then beat the Ravens. Let's say the Bills go win the Super Bowl. I think there'd be a like outside feeling of lack of satisfaction because you didn't beat the Chiefs to go do it. Like I know,
That's fair.
and I think if the Ravens think back to 20, hey, my Super Bowl shit I'm wearing. Think back to the Ravens Super Bowl win. Um, it would have been satisfying no matter what. But one thing I love about that Ravens Super Bowl win is the path. We beat the future, Andrew Luck. Then we beat the two best quarterbacks like ever in Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. And then we
Yeah.
even beat the new style, right? We beat Kaepernick and the 49ers. So that's like one thing that in hindsight just makes that Super Bowl. And look, any Super Bowl win, it's going to be sweet. It's going to be amazing. You're going to be satisfied. But that's just one thing
Yeah.
that I think just adds a little more to it for me is that path that the Ravens had to go through, and they successfully did it. I think if the Bills win the Super Bowl without facing the Chiefs during the path, it would feel like something is just missing still. And you know that Chiefs fans would hold that over the Bills fans still. When in
Yeah.
all actuality, the reason that happened is because you lost the round before, right? Like you don't have anything to brag about here. You lost the round before. It's like my Bills, the Bills fans making fun of the Ravens fans right now. Guys, you're in the same place here. You didn't really do any better. It'd be a similar feeling, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like something would be missing if Allen didn't have to go through Mahomes to do it.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way. It feels like it would make it would make as far as that Hollywood style storybook ending get to the Super Bowl finally. We don't know if they're going to win, if we're going to pick them to win or not, but it would make the most sense. It would be like, it would be the one they would want to have. They would want to get that win over the Chiefs. I feel like there are probably some Bills fans that would probably want that as much as a Super Bowl when that is just, it doesn't equal to that. It's just like, it feels like that would be a Super Bowl win type, for them. Um, but yeah, NFC Championship. Who do you have the Bills facing?
So, Ryan, I tease this a little bit. I've got those Green Bay Packers beating the Eagles.
Oh, ooh,
Uh-huh. I'm in
Jordan Love's
here.
Super Bowl appearance.
Jordan Love's Super Bowl appearance on the back of Josh Jacobs and Micah Parsons on defense. Yeah, that's right, Ryan. We're recording this thing into the future. Uh, but even without the Micah Parsons potential trade, I just see a really, really good sound overall team. And I do think the NFC, it's that conference where I just need a guy to get hot and you can get there. And I feel like Love has that kind of hot streak in him.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, 100%.
and I just don't see a juggernaut on the NFC side of things. So yeah, I'm going Packers.
I think I'm gonna have the Eagles in here, and then I think it's gonna be kind of similar here. I'm gonna have AFC NFC East versus NFC North. I'm gonna have the Vikings somehow finding a way to get over in here, but I'm glad the Eagles win. Even though this team is still not as good, I think for me, it's kind of like the Eagles, they're like the Ohio State of the NFL right now. Is that I think Ohio State can definitely win the national title again this year, but the team is not going to be as good as the team was last year. I think that's kind of the same thing. The Eagles, I think, while not being as good of a team as they were last year, I think are very much definitely capable of being able to get back to the NFC Championship and win it. Um, but it may just be like again that scenario we talked about where like they got close that one year in what 21 or 22 or something like that, and then had a year where like they didn't win it, they didn't get back there. So it's not going to be like that, but I think they'll get the Super Bowl. And I'm going to kind of tee up my pick here. I'm going to go first here, kind of teeing it up. I have the Bills winning the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I have Bills over Eagles.
I get it. All the ingredients are there, right? Like you said, beating the Chiefs feels like their Super Bowl though. And I feel like we have seen this time and time again across different leagues where when you have that feeling, but it's not the Super Bowl, it's not the finals, you fall flat afterwards, right? We've seen that happen before. So I've got that happening to the Bills. They won their Super Bowl already. We beat we're in the AFC Championship. Woo, we won that. And then what happens? We get 2 weeks of Haley Steinfeld doing NFL media, and then they get beat by the Packers in the Super Bowl. And I have the Green Bay Packers winning the Super Bowl this year.
Oh man, I know Aaron Rodgers is super thrilled about that pick. He's going to be on another darkness retreat while this happens. And Peter's going to be joining him. Oh man, cheeseheads.
Cheeseheads.
How about that, man? They
It's
must be excited over getting Micah Parsons in the future.
very much so. Honestly, though, I have a very hard time picking any AFC team right now because that is such a loaded and stacked side of the bracket.
Mm.
Like, I think it's funny because I had the Bills over the Chiefs. I would really like to be able to get myself to pick the Chiefs to just do it. That's what I did for 10 years for the Patriots. Like, just pick the Patriots. You
Yeah.
know, um, I see enough question marks with the Chiefs this year to have gone away from that, but I don't love it. I mean, I easily could have just defaulted to picking the Chiefs. Easily could have just done that. And so I just have a really hard time picking the Bills or the Ravens because of that factor. And so I had to go look at the NFC side of things. And I think I love me some Jordan Love. I love the overallness of that unit. They feel very 49ers in that regard, right? Where they feel
Mm.
like a complete team. And so yeah, give me Green Bay.
All right. So everybody, that's our Super Bowl picks. We're gonna run through some awards real quick. MVP, offensive, defensive player of the year, offensive and defensive rookie of the year, and coach of the year. Man, I know we talked about MVP a little bit last year, and talked about a certain quarterback and in purple that probably should have won it. Who do you have winning it this year?
Well, Ryan, so because last year, it was the year 2024, we had to be very good people that year, right? For whatever reason, the Zodiac calendar said it, the Chinese calendar said it, the Happy New Year calendar said it. It was the year of charities, right? So we had to say, hey, this is a year where we're not going to give it to the guy who deserves it. Instead, we're just going to make it feel like a really nice participation trophy kind of thing. Well, guess what, Ryan? We are back to our regular timeline now. The multiverse is over. We are back to just making movies here, and we're going to give awards to people who deserve them again. Therefore, the good purple boy wins his third MVP. Should be his fourth, but I'll just continue to be bitter. Give me Lamar Jackson. I do think there's regression in some of the numbers probably coming, but at the same time, I cannot honestly sit here and look at anybody else and say, I definitely think their numbers are going to be better than Lamar Jackson's numbers. I just can't.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a case where Josh Allen gets Super Bowl and Lamar gets MVP.
Okay. Yeah,
I think
that sounds about right.
I mean, the other, I mean, obviously, I think you would prefer it the other way around, like, or just
Sure
get
would.
both, be greedy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, Josh got his charity last year. You don't have to just hand him stuff, Ryan.
Offensive player of the year, who are you going with?
So I'm going with Bijan Robinson here. That kind of accompanies my Falcons divisional pick. He is the number 1 or 2 pick across fantasy boards. I think Bijan is in for just a heck of a season.
I think I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson and lock him in there as my pick. I mean, I think there's a lot of guys you cannot go wrong with. Bijan's one of them. Jefferson, I think, is one of them. Jamar Chase is one of them. I mean, honestly, any LSU receiver, pick them. It's probably a safe bet. But CD Lamb, I mean Saquon maybe if even though it won't be as good of a year. Jahmyr Gibbs, depending on what happens in Detroit. Um,
Totally.
but I mean, there's a lot of safe picks there for offensive player of the year. Defensive player of the year, who are you going with?
Well, real quick, one other offensive, I could totally see like Brock Bowers breaking every tight end record.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You
Yeah,
know, like I don't
yeah,
even
that's
know what
true.
those tight end
It,
records are, but I can see him breaking them.
and side note, it is absolutely crazy how much he's ascended like in only a year in the league. It is crazy.
Defensive player of the year, I've got Will Anderson Jr. from your Houston Texans. Defensive player of the year, I feel like a lot of years it's basically who led the league in sacks. So I'm picking Will Anderson Jr. to lead the league in sacks this year. It feels like it's time.
Oh, this feels like it. Yeah, it feels like it's time. It feels like it's about time. He's been a few years in the league.
Year 3.
Although Daniel Hunter probably won't feel happy about losing some of those sacks. Probably not.
Well, he can just get them also. They can just team total can go up.
Sure. No sacks for any of the backup defensive ends or defensive tackles.
No, none for those
Defensive player of the year, I think. I mean, there's a couple of safe bets here. I mean, Myles Garrett is definitely one of them.
Well, Green Bay Packers superstar Micah Parsons could.
Listen, Cleveland, I'll give them sort of a win. I'll give them Myles Garrett, give them another defensive player of the year. Again, that does feel like a pretty safe bet if you're going to pick a defensive player of the year. Myles Garrett is the guy. He's like, if he's not number 1, he's number 2 as far as best defensive ends in the league. So now let's go to the rookies. And I feel like a lot of these are going to be dependent on like Travis Hunter, how much he plays on both sides. Offensive rookie of the year, who are you going with?
So if it's not Ashton Genty, something went horribly wrong, right? So I'm going with Ashton Genty. It's supposed to be. It better be him, or else things went wrong. I want to give another round of love to RJ Harvey. I want to throw some love at Omarion Hampton. I want to throw some love at Tiora McMillan. I like a lot of rookies this year, but it's got to be Ashton Genty. I like Tyler Warren a lot, but it has to be Ashton Genty. It has to be.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm in the same boat there. I think it does depend on how much Hunter plays on offense and defense and how much of impact he has there. Maybe he's in a better case to win defensive player of the year. Although I will say, I mean, I would love it if Cam Ward won it. It would mean a lot of things went right in his rookie year, which I mean, I'm fine with that. Sign me up for that timeline. But I'm going with Janie too. I think this is Pete Carroll's type of back here that he's going to ride all season. He's going to on offense. He is going to ride Janie and Brock Bowers into the ground with how much he's going to use them this year.
Yep.
Defensive rookie of the year. Who are you going with?
So I'm just going to straight up homer this one, Ryan. Give me Malachi Starks.
Oh, so no Justin Hunter.
You've been sitting on that one for
Uh,
45 minutes, haven't you?
oh man. Yep, nailed it.
No, I think I've got Malachi Starks, the Ravens first round pick. And fun fact, Ryan, like RJ Harvey winning second, I've got Mike Green winning second for this one. So no
Hmm.
bias at all here. Ignore the purple. Yeah, I've got Malachi Starks and Mike Green being 1 and 2 in defensive rookie of the year voting.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Travis Hunter. I'm gonna go with Hunter. I think
Do you think he plays
I
more
feel like
defense at
that's
all?
I I don't know. I'm really curious to see what his usage on both sides is. I feel like you said, there's going to be some moments where he's going to be out there in some spots of need for the Jags at secondary, but also I mean, like, who else do you have out there with the secondary? But also, who else do you have at wide receiver besides Brian Thomas? That's another thing. So it's just, I feel like
But
I was going to go with Hunter with either one of these. Janey was a safer bet offensively, so I think whichever one I wasn't going to give Hunter. If I wasn't going Hunter offensive rookie of the year, I was going to go with him defensive rookie of the year. So,
and
I think maybe
because the
A
award,
Mason Graham could be
sure.
a possibility. Which, I mean, for Cleveland fans, you talk about building up that defensive front with Garrett and Graham. That'd be really nice. But I'm going with Hunter.
I do think that because the awards are split, I could see a world where the voters, even if they don't mean to, if it's subconscious, they factor the offensive side of the ball into voting for Hunter for the defensive award. Like I could see that happening. Because a lot of times too, defensive statistics are simply not as plentiful, right? Um, you could have 1,000 yards receiving, and it's like whatever. But if you have 6 interceptions, like holy crap, look at that. So all the numbers are just kind of a bit lower in quantity. So I could totally see a world where they'll just like give him the defensive one because it's easier.
Yeah. And final one, coach of the year. Who you rolling with?
Give me Matt LaFleur. Give me those Packers. Go Pack, go.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of figured, with how the Packers have been set up. Yep. It feels like it would be a long time coming for him. Again, considering that division that he's in. With, um, man, I guess we really love the NFC North. I'm gonna go with KOC here.
I love that too. I love him as a coach. I think O'Connell's a
Well,
fantastic coach.
his ascension is something else that is really remarkable, and like how far he's ascended to be one of these guys. You just automatically trust in him, like he's gonna figure something out. Darnold year really help him. I think this year will really help him too. Matt, that does it for our predictions. Before we get out of here, do you have any other thoughts on this upcoming season that's going to get started here within the next few hours?
I don't. I think this is a year where I don't feel as good about most of the top end things as I typically do, right? On the NFC side, I feel like things are very wide open. On the AFC side, I feel like the Ravens lack depth. I feel like the Bills, while complete, lack stars outside of Allen. And I feel like the Chiefs, why can't I just get myself to come back around to the Chiefs? I mean, I think it's a bit of the Rashi Rice thing dangling there. I think it's a bit of defensive regression that I'm expecting there too. And then it's been a while since we've seen the Chiefs be explosive, and so I think
Yeah.
higher end things this year, I just feel a little lesser about than I have in years past. Also, from a fantasy purpose side of things, the cover two shell defenses